Know your Lord. We learn about his names and his attributes. Know your Lord. What he approves and disapproves. Know your Lord. Belief in all things that he has brought forth. Know his oneness, Lord.
Know Your Lord, part of the Right Belief series by Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid, right here on Sunnahfollowers. Being taught by Ustada Layla Nashiba as she lays down the foundations to get you together. Learn about your Lord. Know your Lord. Streaming on all major platforms. Channel Sunnahfollowers. Assalamu alaikum. Get to know your Lord. First part of the Right Belief series by Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid. This dynamic literary work of art's main goal is to revive an understanding the names and attributes of Allah. And understanding the name and attributes of Allah will elevate our faith, strengthen us, and keep us steadfast. This wonderful book is now available in an audiobook format and can be found free of charge on YouTube, channel Kareem Abu Zaid. Get to know your Lord. You have nothing to lose.
Is the fact that we don't know our Lord. And that's one of the benefits that we've spoken about for the past week of learning the names of Allah. When you learn the names of Allah, it brings you closer to Him. It causes you to trust in Him. It causes you to rely upon Him. And it reminds you, His names remind you of His omnipotence, of His greatness, of His might. If we would ponder our words when we're making salat, how many of us recite the Ikhlas? Almost all of us recite the Ikhlas. Qul hu Allahu ahad. If we really ponder the meaning of what we're saying, you know, we're calling upon Allah. Qul hu Allahu ahad. Qul is say. Allah is one. Ahad. He's one. If we would think about what we're saying, then we wouldn't get caught up into these deviant groups like we are today, where we think that the power to change the world lies in the hand of man instead of in the fingers, between the fingers of Allah. And I spoke about that yesterday. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has told us that the heart of man, you know, lies between the fingers of Allah. Allah controls the heart of man. Man doesn't control anything. Man doesn't control Allah. You know, if you want the world to change, and we're going to talk about this tonight when I do my Islam Q&A show, you want the world to change. You don't call upon man. You don't put your trust in a government like a lot of you are doing. How many of you Muslims voted? Astaghfirullah, y'all committed a major sin. You basically cursed yourself. Because you put your trust in a kafir woman or a kafir man instead of putting your trust in Allah, when Allah has told you that you cannot participate in that garbage. Allah has told you that He's in control. So for all you Muslims that have gone out and voted and are voting in these non-Muslim elections, voting for presidents, voting for congressmen, voting for senators, you know, shame on you. You guys are committing a major sacrilege. You're showing that you don't truly believe in the lordship of Allah. You're showing yourself and your jinn that your allegiance is to man and not to Allah. And that's sad. That's why this war ain't going nowhere. This war came from Allah. It didn't come from Israel. It didn't come from the Zionists. This war came from Allah, and he ain't taking it away. Okay? So y'all can vote for all the LGBTQ people y'all want to, which is another sacrilege. And you can vote for all the non-Muslims you want to. You can call upon them. You can beg them. You can plead with them. They're not going to be able to change the condition of you, me, or even themselves. Allah's in control. And until you Muslims understand that, which you won't, because Allah knows his creation, he said y'all won't understand. That's why he sent the war, because he already know you ain't changing. Y'all better suffer the consequences. Y'all better suck it up that this is the world that we live in today. And as Allah said, whatever evil befalls us comes from ourselves. As a result, it comes from Allah as a result of what we've brought upon ourselves by disobeying him. So I hope all you Muslims who voted, y'all feel happy that all you did is show that you trust in man. And you think that the future lies in the hand of an LGBTQ woman and man, or a non-believing woman and man. Sad. So we have to learn the names of Allah. If we truly knew the names of Allah and believed in them, we wouldn't have done that. We wouldn't commit half the sins we do if we truly thought about the names of Allah. And so yesterday, we spoke more in detail about this, and I'm going to give you guys a quiz today. I just have 2 questions. It's just 2 questions I'm going to ask you guys today, but I also want to let you know this is a question that one of the new brothers sent to me this day. He texted me. He sent me a question asking me, Sister Layla, how many names does Allah have? And I was surprised when I got that text from him, because I said, that's what today's lecture is going to be about. That shows that Allah is really in control, because that's what today's class is going to be about. How many names does Allah have? And the brother was telling me that some people say one thing and other people say another. Well, I'm going to answer that question today. But before we do, and by the way, is Sister Mina here? Or is anyone here who has the children's book? Is anyone here who has the kids' book?
I don't think so. I think only Sister Mina has it.
Tony, did your book come in? Is Tony in there? She bought it. Is she in there?
Yes, she is.
Tony? She's probably praying. Okay, when Tony...
I have the book. I'm sorry.
Okay, can you do me a favor? Can you tell me what pages it is? I know the last chapter where we covered was 209 and 221 in the kids' book. So what pages is this chapter? After it's 222 to what? So I can write it down. For when I couldn't put it on here because I don't have the kids' book, I didn't know what pages to put. So for the kids' book, that next chapter, how many? It's from 222 to what? It's 222.
Okay, Mina just joined, so she might help you out.
Okay.
What happened, Sister Layla?
What pages is this chapter for the kids in the kids' book? 222 to what? Because I didn't know what to put on the thing either for them.
The next chapter is page 231.
Wait a minute. So it's 222 to 231? Okay, we finished.
Yeah, 222 is actually questions. So the next chapter over is 231. 230.
Wait a minute. So
You want to
222 got 10 pages of questions?
Yeah.
Okay, so what pages are it then? It's 231 to what?
231 to 241.
Okay, let me write that down for the kids. Okay, so for those of you with the kids book, pages 231 to 241 is what we're going to be covering for the next week. Since he's condensed it for you, the kids can read the whole chapter and do the questions at the back. Okay, so we're going to be covering for tonight for the adults. We're going to cover pages 125 to 128. And for the children's books, it's going to be 231 to 241. Okay, and we're going to be speaking about today how many names Allah actually has. But before I get to answer that question for the young brother here, he said that they have a debate going on about it. There's no reason to debate the religion because Islam is clear. But before I get to that, let's look at this first question from yesterday. We spoke about praising and glorifying Allah. Is this statement true or false? Praising and glorifying Allah is not a form of supplication. Is that statement true or is that statement false? Excuse me. Praising and glorifying Allah is not a form of supplication. Is that statement true or is that statement false? What do you guys think?
It's false. It is praising Allah, glorifying.
Everybody agree? Go ahead. You agree too?
I agree.
Okay, mashallah. Good job. Good job. Good job. Okay, it is a form of supplication. So guys, you got it right, Annette. You got it right, everybody. This is false. It is a form of supplication. And this is something that Muslims need to think about. Like I was telling you guys yesterday, something that you can do when you're driving on your way to work in your car. Instead of putting the music on or the radio on, I know sometimes we have to turn the radio on to stay awake, especially if you work third shift. Even I had to do that. But if you don't need it on to keep you awake, or as you're driving on your way to work, simply praise Allah by saying Subhana Allahi wa bihamdihi. Subhana Allahi wa bihamdihi. Or simply say, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Okay? Because this is a way of supplicating. It's also keeping you connected to Allah. It's keeping your mind focused on Allah. Okay? So a lot of Muslims are not aware of that. To praise Allah by using his names. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah. You're praising him, glorifying him with his names and attributes. Qul hu Allahu ahad. Qul hu Allahu ahad. Exactly. You can say just one sentence. Say Allah is one. Say Allah is one. That's what that means in English. This will keep you connected to Allah, guys. And this is a form of supplicating to him. What about this question? Who can give us an example as to how praising Allah is a form of supplication? Give me an example as to how it is. Or tell me what makes it Good job. Sister Amina said when she takes her walks, she does that. She calls upon Allah. When she takes her walks, she'll praise him. She'll glorify him. Remember that hadith we went over a few months ago too, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught the companions when you're going up a hill, say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And when you coming down a hill, say La ilaha illallah. Okay? That's calling upon Allah. It's praising him. You know, it's keeping you connected to him. And that's a great example that y'all just gave too. That's an example as to how praising Allah is a form of supplication. You're going up a hill, you're afraid. You're going up a roller coaster. You with the kids, you take the kids to an amusement park. You're on a roller coaster. You are scared. You don't know. Allahu Akbar. Allah is the greatest. Allah is the greatest. That's calming you down. That's keeping you from panicking. You're walking up a hill, going up a hill. Allahu Akbar. Allah is the greatest. Allah is greater than that hill. That's reminding you. You're basically reminding yourself that that hill is nothing to be more afraid of than Allah. And then when you're coming down the hill, there is no deity other than Allah. There is no deity. You have reconfirmed that that hill is nothing compared to Allah. See how y'all just gave an example? You just answered the question, Brother Amir. Y'all just gave an example. Exactly. Sister Annette gave another example. When you wake up, when she wakes up, you know, subhanallah, subhanallah, all praise is due to Allah for putting my soul back into my body. Because when we die, when we sleep, sleep is the lesser death. When you sleep, the angels take your soul and they do not put it back in your body unless Allah commands them to. So when you wake up, you say, subhanallah, you're praising Allah for putting your soul back into your body. Good job, Annette. Subhanallah. What's some more examples? Anybody in the Zoom room? They seem to have it. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. When you're saying your kuls, you're asking Allah to protect you from the evil of which he has created.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why we recite those kuls. A lot of, you know, man is pessimistic by nature. It's part of the human nature to be pessimistic or superstitious. So when you recite, you know, the four kuls, Kul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq, or Kul a'udhu bi rabbin nas, malikin nas. Okay, you're praising Allah. You're glorifying Allah, reminding yourself that, you know, nothing can harm you. Nothing can benefit you unless Allah allows it. That's why I was saying earlier, we have to think about what we're saying. Nothing can harm you unless Allah allows it. Nothing can benefit you unless Allah allows it. It'll keep us from transgressing and putting the power and the might of Allah in the hands of some lesser being. Y'all understand that? So good job, good example. So those were great examples you guys came up with as to how praising Allah is a form of supplication. It keeps you calm. It keeps you focused. It reminds you of how Allah is better and greater than all of this, how nothing can harm you unless he wills it. Nothing can benefit you unless he wills it. Nothing you can do to change his decree. Okay, Sister Shamsa said before and after drinking or eating. Okay, before, when you break your fast, the supplications we say when we leave the house and when we enter the house, all of that. When we leave the bathroom, we're praising Allah. Again, reminding ourselves that the sustenance, this is Allah's lordship. We're reminding ourselves of the lordship of Allah, that Allah is the provider, the sustainer of life, when we make those supplications before we eat and drink. We're reminding ourselves again, that nothing can harm us unless Allah wills it when you enter the bathroom. Okay, you wouldn't be voting in elections if you guys would do this. If we would praise Allah more, if we would use his names more in our daily lives, we wouldn't make big mistakes like voting in elections. That's a big major sin, guys. I had to tell somebody yesterday, voting in an election, you might as well just go ahead and smoke you some marijuana. It's the same thing. It's the same magnificent sin. That's how big a sin it is. You know it's haram, but you said you don't care. You're going to do it anyway. You might as well just go on ahead and fornicate, adulterate, drink some wine, smoke marijuana, and shoot some heroin and take some morphine too. This is ridiculous, guys. We need to think about it. Think about Allah and our relationship, the relationship we're supposed to have with him and the relationship that we don't have with him. Okay, so that's what we talked about yesterday. Now, today, what we're going to do is get into this, and it's not going to be a long class tonight. I'm going to answer this brother's question, and it was amazing that he typed me this question because that's today's topic. How many names does Allah have? How many names does he have? Most people say he has 99 names. Okay. Then some people say he has 104 names. Okay, so we're going to answer that question today. And I want us to remember that the names and the attributes of Allah, knowing them, understanding their meaning, and implementing them in our life becomes one of the best ways to enter paradise. Okay? And our goal of paradise has only one path. And that path has been defined to us by Allah. And Allah has given us many different ways to attain his pleasure so we can enter paradise. And one of them is by not just knowing his names, but understanding them and implementing them in our lives. Listen to this hadith. And this is the hadith that the brother texts me today. Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, said, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah has 99 names, 100 minus 1, and whoever memorized them all by heart will enter paradise. Okay, to count the names is to memorize them by heart. And to memorize them by heart, guys, means to act upon it, to act upon them. So if you read this hadith as the brother did, you will think, okay, this is the dalil. How many names does Allah have? Allah has 99. That's it. This hadith is authentic. This hadith is clear. Allah has 99 names. And this is an example as to why we have to understand that we cannot teach ourselves this religion. This is how Allah protected Islam. He protected the hadith from becoming distorted. He protected the Quran from being distorted by making it so that you cannot teach yourself. You have to ask the people of knowledge. Number one, when that hadith says counting, You just remember we talked about the hadiths use the same science that the Quran does. The science of the Quran is applied to the hadiths. You have to know the linguistics. You have to know the Fusha, the original Arabic language that is not spoken today. Okay? Because one Arabic word can have different meanings. And that word, as-saha, which normally means to count, can also be viewed as a verb with continuity. What does that mean? That means that, you know, it has no restriction in number. It means to continue. So the verb that's used in the Fusha of this hadith, if you read it in the Arabic language, the original Fusha, it refers to continuous. So it's not saying that Allah has just 99 names. This hadith is saying that he has more than that. So the proper translation of this hadith would be that the prophet said, whoever lives by using these names and keeps on using them until they understand them and assimilate them, this is a person that will enter paradise. And also, it's more than just 99 names. Okay? Listen to this. We have another hadith where the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, there is no one amongst you who, when he becomes sick with anxiety or grief or depression, if he says the supplication here, Allah will remove his distress and his grief and his depression and give him happiness instead. And that supplication is this: O Allah, I am your servant, the son or daughter of your servant, the son or daughter of your maidservant. My forehead is in your hand. Your command over me is forever carried out, and your decree over me is just. I ask you by every name belonging to you, which you have named yourself with, or you taught to any of your creation, or revealed in your book, or you have preserved in the knowledge of the unseen with you, that you make the Quran the life of my heart and the light of my chest, and a departure for my sorrow and a release for my anxiety. And by the way, this is a supplication that each and every one of you who right now is feeling depressed in your life, each and every one of you, including myself, who is suffering with anxiety, sadness, loneliness, if you recite this supplication and believe what you say, and that's the key, you have to believe it. You have to believe that Allah will take it away. I'm telling you, your depression, your loneliness, your unhappiness will go away. I know this for a fact, because this is one of my supplications that I recite when I'm in my melancholy moods like I've been in for the past month. Okay? And it works. It helps keep you focused. It helps you to carry on with your obligations and your duties. But the thing I want you guys to pay attention to is the fact that you're saying here that Allah, that you're calling upon him not just by the names that he's told us of, but also the names that we don't even know about. So that there is the proof, and that there is the correct answer, that Allah has more than 99 names. And only he knows how many there are. Do you guys understand that? And that's for the brother that texts me today. This is something that you brothers should not be arguing about. Only Allah knows how many names he has. As this supplication says, there's names that he hasn't even told us of himself. There's names that others, that the rest of his creation have for him that we don't know about. We don't know what names the animals may have for him, or the sun or the moon or the stars. So he has more than 99 names. The number of names are unknown to us and only known by him. So that's the answer to that question. Does everybody understand that? So yes, the first hadith is authentic, but it's just part. It's just one part of something. Remember, we talked about how in order to be able to interpret or clarify or understand the Quran or the hadith, you have to know the sciences. You have to know the science of linguistics. You have to know the science of analogy. You also have to know the biography of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the history, because the hadiths are bits and pieces of lectures or speeches that he gave to the companions. You have to be able to put the whole speech together. You may read one sentence of a speech here, another sentence there, another 3 sentences there. But if you put it all together, it's a 12-page khutbah. So you have to know the science, the history, the science of connectivity, how hadiths connect. The hadiths connect together to form one large khutbah. Many times. Or maybe the prophet told one person one thing, and then someone else heard him say something else. So this is why I tell you guys, don't think that you can teach yourself this religion. I didn't teach myself. We all have to have teachers. That's how Islam is preserved. Okay? So, many scholars have identified more than 99 or more than 100 or more than 104 names. Oh yeah. So for the brother that sent the question, there's some scholars have identified more than 104. They did it by using systems of classifying the acceptability of evidence. So instead of you brothers arguing over things like that, what you need to do is try to learn the meaning of those names and implement them. The names that Allah has told us of, those 99 that we do know of for a fact, that's a lot right there. Try to implement them in your life. Because through implementation of those names, you will be guaranteed paradise. Everybody understand that? But to answer the question, only Allah knows. Just like the night of power, every Ramadan, we fast, the last 10 days, hoping for the reward of the night of Qadr. Nobody knows when the night of Qadr is but Allah. The Prophet Muhammad told us fast all of those 10 nights. You don't want to just do the odd nights. You don't want to just do the 27th like the Sufis do. You want to do like the Prophet said, to fast and strive the entire 10 nights. Because only Allah knows which night it'll be, because it changes every year. So this is why we observe all of those 10 nights with extra striving. Well, it's the same with the names of Allah. Rather than sitting around arguing as to how many he has, when that knowledge only lies with him, focus on learning and implementing those 99 that you do know for a fact to be his name. Okay.